Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Rundown with me, Fiona Fox. Now, a new report perception among British employees is that the grass is greener elsewhere, as 1 in 2 employees feel they must switch companies in order to get a pay rise. 7 in 10 UK employees wish they had a better understanding of what fair pay is for their position and skill set at their company and in their local market. The survey was of more than 8,000 adults employed full-time and part-time. Do you think loyalty to an employer doesn't pay right? Does it not pay fairly if you're loyal and you want to stay in your company?
Well, it should, I guess.
Do you think it does, though?
I'm saying. I don't know if it does or not. I mean, it depends on the job, maybe, or it depends on, I don't know, your situation. But it should do. But I get that kind of idea. That it's the idea that you get a job and then you think, oh, well, the grass is greener on the
somewhere
other side.
else.
I've worked here. Okay, well maybe I need to change, or maybe I need to get like a you think in your head to get a proper job, but then you probably already got.
I'm appreciated.
Yeah, but then you probably already got a proper job, and then you'll move somewhere that you might not like anyone anyway, or it might be really bad, and then you've moved from the original place that you did like.
The conundrum. But is that the way, would you think then that you kind of feel like, and in your own experience, that it's not moving, doesn't necessarily give you that pay rise
well,
that you need?
It depends on it depends on the
individual
job or
and
different
case by
industry,
case.
and it's completely different in different industries. The way you progress is different in different industries.
Now, I always kind of felt though that I remember just going back my first jobs at a uni and that like there was always a feeling of you do 2 years in one job.
Yeah,
that's the and if you haven't progressed, then you start looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
That it's easier. Do you know this idea?
I'm surprised that it's only 1 in 2 employees think this. I thought it was a universal.
So did I.
Understanding that actually, if you want to progress, what you do is you do work for maybe a couple of years, maybe 3 years, depending on the sort of situation, and then you look around and you progress, and maybe you move to a different city or something like that.
Company hop.
And it ruins your social life and your family life, but you get on. And the people at the top have probably done this. Certainly in the police force, that's the way to do it. People move around. All these chief constables, if you look at their career, they've moved around different forces, and they've been an inspector in this force and a superintendent in that force and a deputy chief constable there. And they've got
sideways all the way up.
No, it's kind of not sideways.
Zigzagged is what I mean.
Zigzagged all over the country, and they've spent time as inspectors and as on Home Office special inquiries and all this kind of stuff, and they amass all this experience, and then they get the top job.
They get there,
and it's very similar in every. I mean, lots of people don't do that because they get into a job, they are happy.
Yeah.
It's right for them. Their social life, family life, everything is fine, and they don't want to rock that boat by doing this.
The thing is, I think that idea though, isn't the idea of like the job for life, even no matter how much you like the job, that's been threatened over the contracts, that kind of thing. So that's all changed anyway, hasn't it? So it's harder for somebody to do that.
So surely that makes people want to stay in their one job that they have more and progress within that one
They
place.
might do, yeah. There are some people probably do feel that if they don't feel confident that they could get a job somewhere else. But if if you're in an established job, say as a market analyst or something, you know that actually down the road there's somebody else there, and if that job comes up, they'll pay you 50% more.
Yeah.
Or if you move to New York or something like that,
Yeah.
It's strange though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember one of my first job at uni was for a bank at home, and obviously that went well. But no, it wasn't for me. But I do remember them, trying to get that in place. If you stay here, you'll go up the corporate ladder. This is what it will be. And you're thinking for a while.
Well, some employers do look after them.
Well, sometimes they do. Yeah,
right.
but I do. There definitely was that feeling, like they're talking about in this report. There wasn't a transparency. There was no transparency about salary levels, the scale of. You had no idea what anybody else obviously was earning, which I don't know was an Irish thing. We were happy enough with that. You don't ask somebody what they're earning.
I think that's wrong in principle.
We're happy enough with that. But now that I kind of have a different perspective, if it's enabling this, unfair pay scale, well then I obviously would be fully in favour of everybody revealing what each role is paid. But I know people who maybe did 2 years in one company, went to the rivals, 2 years there, and then came back into the original one, but their salary had gone accordingly that way. But if they had stayed there for those 4 years, it wouldn't have worked.
And maybe this is partly the reason for a continuing inequality between men and women, because probably men are more willing to move around.
I think they are. I think that's been proven as well. Yeah.
I do think that it's a good idea for salaries to be made public. I know it's a little bit, it's an issue at the moment, but I think it would provide a sort of feeling of fairness, that you are being paid the right amount. Because I have been an employer as well, and I recall, struggling to make sure that people were being paid fairly and got increases in accordance with their, their progress, if you like. And it's not easy.
Do you think it's interesting though that they do have this transparency available to employees in the likes of France and Germany? But do you think it's maybe a British thing, that, a privacy thing, that it's come from that, or there's something else might be behind it? I mean, or maybe I'm wrong saying that that's a culture here. But like I said, it was definitely culture in Ireland.
No, I think it is. I think people do get a bit cagey if you ask them, because you shouldn't really. It is their business, and it's not really. But there's certain jobs and certain people in high-profile positions that
will use
it
this
becomes
as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, some people are more nosy, and then some people, But it's interesting that Norway, everybody's tax is a public document.
I know. I find that really interesting.
So you will know then how much your colleagues are paid.
That would just not fly in Ireland. That would not fly.
But one of the problems I have with all this as well, maybe it's I don't know, slightly different tangent, but there's a kind of warped attitude sometimes towards success and what success is, and how success is different for different people. And I think there's pressure on someone someone works in a supermarket. They really enjoy it. They enjoy the hours. They like the people they work with. They're happy where they are. But then there's sometimes snooty pressures from other people saying, "Oh, that's not how successful at that age you should be." I hate that. I really hate that. I just think that it's none of your business.
Sometimes it's your parents.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at my children and I think, he could do better than that,
I want him to do by that. Or you get these young, I meet these young kids that are like, in their early 20s, and I go, by this age I want to be doing that, and then by that age I'll be doing that. And it's like, okay, well, I'm glad that you've got your whole life planned out, but you forgot the little bits where life kicks you in the teeth, or when or the little bits when stuff doesn't go your way. So
it's turned into something to say.
Well, it has.
Generation K, they're called. They're highly ambitious because they have role models like Mark Zuckerberg, everyone who's ever created anything.
I get it.
Instagram, famous, YouTube bloggers, PewDiePie, all these people who are millionaires by the time they're 25.
Exactly.
So it's a new generation growing up with it. I mean, I can't imagine the kind of pressure. I can't imagine the kind of head explosions that are going to happen when these guys reach 30.
Well, I mean, my parents put lots of pressure on me to succeed and become a lawyer. And I said when I was at university, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be a teacher. And my mother said, you can't do that. You're going down to the lower middle class.
Oh, wow. Wow, imagine. My goodness. But going back to a bit.
But then I saw the light and I became a lawyer.
Would you be happier to see more transparency, though, with pay scales and salary for positions in the UK as well? Would you be happy with that?
In certain positions.
I think I would. I think transparency and openness is conducive to a fairer, more convivial, more community kind of society where we do know what's going on. We know what we have less suspicion about other people, and I think we need more of that kind of cohesion in our society.
But I do think employers actually use it sometimes. I remember an employer saying to me, I think I approached them and said, "Oh, I've heard that such and such is this is the first job again. It's the same place. It's a bank you all know well here." But there was only one branch of them in Ireland. But I've heard so and so was on whatever money, and I've been here longer. Yeah. I went and I tried that as a young upstart, and they said, "Oh, okay, well, let me speak to someone," and then my manager came back and said, "Okay, that's an aside. That's an issue we're going to deal with. But as an aside, you don't approach somebody and say, I know what salary someone else is on, because you're not supposed to. It's in your contract." And I was like, "What?" Obviously, I hadn't read my contract of my first job, but it was in there. Never discuss your salary with somebody. That's what
I would think.
That's divide and rule by the employer, isn't it? Of course it is. It's a silly term.
And even is that from a legal point of view? I guess you'd probably be the person to ask then, Guy. Is that? I mean, if they put in the contract and you agree to it, then I guess you're breaking the contract if you do speak.
Yes, but I don't know how you could have challenged it actually, but
you signed it, haven't you?
It's a political thing rather than a legal thing, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but that's how they get you. But more transparency will be welcome, wouldn't it? Thanks very much for that, gentlemen. We're going to go for our second break of the evening. Don't go anywhere. We've got lots more news to discuss. See you in just a second.